Namaskaram. I bow to the divinity within you. Action with awareness is both the vehicle and the destination in Babaji's Kriya Yoga. Through it, we become aware of that which is aware, the one constant underlying all of our experiences. Yoga was originally developed in India, but today it enjoys worldwide popularity because of its many practical benefits. However, in being passed from an ancient Indian culture to a modern Western culture, the values inherent in each culture have not been reconciled. And so yoga as it is taught in the West today is a pale shadow of what it truly can be. It is not simply a system of physical exercises, which may improve our health or appearance. Fortunately, today in the West, a growing number of teachers are attempting to join the practice of Hatha Yoga, which consists primarily of the physical postures, with the practice of meditation or awareness. This trend is very welcome, but even where one is instructed to be aware of, for example, the breath, or the flow of energy in the body, little is communicated about the nature of awareness or consciousness. Ordinarily, we act without awareness. We are moved to act by a desire to find happiness or to avoid suffering. However, finding happiness is like trying to pick up water with our fingers. It easily slips away. So we go from one experience to the next, always with the vain hope that it will provide some lasting happiness, or at best, distract us from our suffering. Even getting what we want, for example, wealth, pleasure, fame, or the perfection of a posture, inevitably brings the fear of losing it or eventual boredom and dissatisfaction. Lasting happiness seems to escape everyone. Is there not a way out of this universal dilemma? A way to find lasting happiness? The Siddhas, those perfected masters who developed the scientific art of yoga, have a famous saying: the amount of happiness in life is proportional to one's discipline, or sadhana. Most of us shy away from the word discipline, but discipline in the context of yoga is simply to remember who we are and to let go of what we are not. Discipline begins with the cultivation of awareness. It is based upon the Siddha's diagnosis of our human condition, encapsulated in the following saying: we are dreaming with our eyes open. Life is dreamlike. Notice how everything comes and goes like dreams. Our possessions, the wonderful times, and relationships. Furthermore, all that we do is done unconsciously out of habit, and we are unaware of our every movement and breath. Awareness occurs when part of our consciousness stands back and witnesses the rest of our consciousness involved in doing, feeling, or thinking. This rarely occurs in the ordinary course of life, because usually we allow our consciousness to be absorbed by objects of attention, such as what we are seeing, hearing, and thinking or doing. Or we allow our consciousness to be dispersed in many different directions. When was the last time you watched yourself read a book? Or watched yourself look at a sunset? Or watched yourself eat a meal? When was the last time you watched yourself sleep? When was the last time you watched yourself do Hatha Yoga? Consciousness is not the same thing as the mind. Patanjali, 2,000 years ago in his classic Yoga Sutras, makes a clear distinction between that which is conscious, the seer, and the seen. Everything else we experience, including the mind. The seer is pure subject, that which is conscious, that which is experienced as I am. The seen is everything else, all objects of awareness, from the most physical of objects to the subtlest of thoughts and mental formations. Mind is the sum of all mental formations, including memory, imagination, sensory input, and intellectual abstractions. Patanjali defines yoga in verse 2 of his Yoga Sutras in the following words: yoga is the cessation of the identification with, the fluctuations arising within consciousness. I repeat, yoga is the cessation of, the identification with, the fluctuations arising within consciousness. In subsequent verses, Patanjali defines these 5 fluctuations as, number 1, the means of acquiring true knowledge, such as sense perception, which is knowledge validated through our 5 senses, and inference, which is observed cause and effect. Number 2, misconception, which is false knowledge based on personal bias. Number 3, conceptualization, which is thinking about our experience. Number 4, memory, which filters the present experience with beliefs from past experiences. And number 5, sleep, which is a belief in non-existence. These 5 kinds of fluctuations keep us in our egoism. Yoga may thus be understood as a process of cleansing consciousness of egoism, the habit of identifying with what we are not. If I ask you, for example, who are you? You would typically respond by referring to your name, profession, place of residence, or even relationships with someone else. However, these are not constants, and indeed often do change. These things with which you identify are forgotten each night during sleep. During sleep, you have no recollection of your name, profession, or relationships, yet the sense of I continues. Listening to yourself speak, the most common word heard will usually be I, as in, I can't do that, I'm afraid, I can do that, I did that, or I think. And what we identify with, fatigue, fear, happiness, pain, thinking, and doing, is constantly changing. So, which one are you? Which one is real? What is reality? That which always is. That part of you which has always been. Yoga is the process of realizing who we truly are and of letting go of what we are not. We are not our fears. We are not our fatigue. We are not our tensions. We are not our thoughts. We are not our feelings. We are not our emotions. These exist for a few moments, minutes, or longer, but ultimately pass away. Hatha Yoga has this letting go of our tensions, our sickness, and false identifications as its ultimate objective. Self-realization occurs whenever awareness occurs, whenever there is a simple, non-judgmental witnessing. In other words, when there occurs identification with the seer, the one who is seeing, not the seen. Whenever such awareness occurs, bliss, or unconditional joy, occurs. You can easily test this. As you do a yoga posture, allow part of your consciousness to stand back as a silent witness, judging nothing, wanting nothing. Simply be. You will notice that bliss arises. Happiness may occur when we get what we want. Unhappiness may occur when we get what we don't want. Bliss doesn't care. It is unconditional joy. It is self-existent and depends only upon whether we are being present. In India, the term for self-realization is Satchidananda. Satchidananda is also a 3-part formula for finding joy in life. Sat means absolute being. Chit means absolute awareness or consciousness. Ananda means absolute bliss. So, if who you truly are is present, awareness is present, and with awareness comes bliss. Patanjali defines his yoga as Kriya Yoga and says that it consists of constant practice, abhyasa, detachment, prajna, and devotion to the Lord, Ishvara Pranidhana. Recognizing that few persons are prepared to constantly practice such detachment and devotion, he prescribes some alternative practices. known as the eight-limbed path of Ashtanga Yoga. This includes Hatha Yoga. Babaji Nagaraj, a contemporary brother-disciple of Patanjali, has brought down to the present time a Kriya Yoga, which shares much of Patanjali's philosophical and practical teachings. Babaji's Kriya Hatha Yoga, while it may be practiced simply for improving one's health, cannot be fully understood or even appreciated without knowing how it relates to other branches of Kriya Yoga, including meditation and breathing, and the ultimate objective of self-realization. Can one become self-realized simply through Kriya Hatha Yoga? The answer is an emphatic yes. Patanjali tells us in verse 47 of chapter 2 of his Yoga Sutras, quote, "From the relaxation of tension, samadhi is attained." Always coming back to the center, to the seer, to the moment is constant practice, abhyasa. This practice will, however, be easier and more effective if done in concert with the other branches of the yoga. This instructional video, which you are about to see, therefore can best be understood when seen as an integral part of a process of self-realization. The fivefold path of Babaji's Kriya Yoga is designed to bring awareness into each of the 5 planes of human existence. Kriya Hatha Yoga postures for the physical, Kriya Kundalini Pranayam for the vital, which is the seat of the emotions, and Kriya Dhyana Yoga, meditation for the mental, Kriya Mantra Yoga for the intellectual, and Kriya Bhakti Yoga for the spiritual. All of these 5 categories of Kriyas affect many levels of our being. So whenever you hear an instruction such as, "Be aware of the breath," or the flow of energy, remember the deeper purpose. Be aware of the self, that inner aliveness. Realize the self and awaken to your full potential at all levels. Be aware of what is aware.